So, good morning to you all here and all of you online. It's wonderful to see you and to share this fine morning with you. I'm so delighted to have my friend, my dear friend and Japanese photographer, Mitsue Nagase. She's here to share her evocative photography of Japanese gardens, temple gardens, and her collaboration with the Village Zendo's old friend and teacher, Sensei Tanahashi, who collaborated with Mitsue on this fine book. He is a wonderful calligraphy artist and writer and translator. I think many of us who have been introduced to Dogen have done that through Kaz's fine translations of his work. He teaches worldwide and has taught here at our Sangha through the years. And today we're introducing this work that they have created together. Extraordinary achievement entitled The Gardens of Awakening. Now, if that isn't something that makes you want to open the book and enter the Garden of Awakening, I'm not sure what is. It introduces through words and images the essence of Japanese Zen aesthetics as expressed in the eminent gardens of Japan. And, you know, when we enter this work, and I encourage anyone here who has not yet received a copy or gotten a copy of this work, and please do so. I think we have some available today. And of course, there's always online ways to purchase it directly from Shambhala. Shambhala, which is the main Buddhist publication house. The images, Mitsue, are breathtaking. And causes evocative invocation of the Zen ways of experiencing feels like it's a way of entering Zen teaching in its deepest form. For those of us who are drawn to the aesthetic, it is a profound teaching. It's called a Zen eye. What is a Zen eye? You might wonder. Maybe it's quiet. Maybe it's the sound of water dripping through the stones of a garden. That's not quiet. Maybe it's subtle, like a mountain of stones piled up around raked gravel. That's not subtle. And so it is in this book that we're challenged. As Mitsue shows us through the striking photographs and Kaz teaches through the history and literature of Zen aesthetic, we learn something they call the body of paradoxes. So right now you might want to recognize in yourself the practice of a body of paradoxes in yourself. What would that be like? To see myself as a body of paradoxes. It might be a moment of insight into the mystery of self. To appreciate that. We might indeed find this book to be a key to our own self-understanding. I encourage us all to read this book, and you can find it, as I said before, here at the Zendo or from Shambhala Press or any bookstore. And Kaz, kind of elevating Mitsue's photographs, offers some compelling and rather new English words to describe traditional Japanese aesthetics. He arranges them with Mitsue's striking examples from her photographs of the gardens. So we have the descriptors direct, ordinary, vigorous, gleaming, pivotal, non-dual, inexhaustible. And in each instance in this book, Kaz offers quotations from Dogen as well as Zen teachers through the ages. Think of it. Think of it. These words, descriptors of qualities of mind, of aesthetic direction, as appreciation of the art, as appreciation of the gardens, and of the photography that is able to capture the essence of the gardens. Direct, ordinary, vigorous, gleaming, pivotal, non-dual, inexhaustible. So this book is a deep dive into Zen aesthetics, Zen history, and appreciations of the quality of the meditative approach that many of us here have taken as our way. So I really encourage you to read it. And as I was reading it and appreciating the piercing photographs that just reach right to the heart, I recognized the point of the title of the book, Gardens of Awakening. Studying these photographs and Kaz's commentaries can awaken in each of us an appreciation of the relationship of aesthetics, aesthetic appreciation, caring, seeing something and having the heart just jump. And Zen Buddhism, our way of awakening to our lives now. To be able to see each of us, our own lives, and experience those qualities that they name in the book. Direct, ordinary, vigorous, gleaming, pivotal, non-dual, inexhaustible. You know, and for me, I'm just an ordinary New York person. They lead to ordinary service and compassion as we walk down the street. And seeing a book like this and remembering and appreciating, you walk out on the cobblestone streets and you meet what needs compassion, you just automatically offer it. It comes out. It's not something to think about or study. It is what arises out of the appreciation of fine aesthetics that you can see in the way the cobblestones are arranged on the street. It's everywhere. A book such as this wakes you up to that. And for that reason, it is so important to our lives. Never to be forgotten, never to be diminished. So in a couple of minutes, and I know you're waiting for this, I'm going to ask Mitsue to tell us about the project. But first, there's one element of the Japanese aesthetic system I'd like to highlight, one that's deep in my heart, having to do with how we can appreciate the aspects of our own lives that we may be reluctant to meet and deal with. How do we meet those aspects of our own lives that are hard to look at? So I'm talking about repair. Repair. You know, in Japan, in Japanese art, you may see a fine piece of pottery, a ceramic, a bowl or a cup or a pitcher that's been broken and chipped, and then it's been repaired, which is just amazing anyway that you can repair a ceramic cup by filling it in or filling in the missing pieces. with lacquer dusted with gold or silver. Perhaps you've seen that and not even been aware of what you're looking at. It's beautiful, and it's called the art of Kintsugi. Kintsugi. I don't speak Japanese, but I know this because it just reaches my heart. Perhaps you've seen a teacup with a tiny bit of gold on the lip. It's been repaired by that missing chip, has been repaired with a spot of gold. Or a bowl that is repaired, just the whole seam down the side has been repaired, as if it were made with compassion. When I see an object that is repaired in such a way, it touches me much more deeply than an unbroken cup or bowl. And I might extend that to all objects that have been repaired, that take on a more beautiful and vulnerable and seductive aura. And there's a beautiful example of Kintsugi in Los Angeles, of all places. An artist by the name of Victor Solomon poured golden resin into the tracks of a broken basketball court. And it's called the Kintsugi court, hoping to highlight the quality, the healing qualities of sport that cannot be broken. I would so love to see that basketball court with the gold in the cracks. And how about us, each of us? How do we recover from something we've done, something we've said, something that we regret? How do we recover from a hurt that we've experienced? How do we make peace with ourselves and recognize that the act of meeting our own vulnerability, our reactivity, whatever our breakage might be, the act of recognizing and then the restitution in our own heart is like pouring gold into the cracks. Filling our sense of suffering with value. Filling our sense of suffering with value. Pure gold. Saying to ourselves, what I have done or what has been done to me can bring forth my most valuable asset, my most open-hearted compassion, and I will heal and go on. So it only works if we're willing to open our own personal hearts to see ourselves and bear witness to our experience, to our own suffering. Only then can we fill the breach with gold, with value and beauty. So that's a teaching that just opens my heart to the ways of the Japanese aesthetic. I'm going to turn it over to Mitsue now to hear about her book and how she came to make this fine book with the photographs. But let me just end with a verse. Beauty, joy, and love, all resting in the wound that we recognize and then heal. Looking around, I see the gold flowing all around us right now. So Mitsue, I want you to come up here, and we'll have to fit you up with this microphone, and then you'll be able to see the people you're talking to online, which is a great many today. So,
thank you so much for this opportunity, and then thank you for Enkyo Roshi for inviting me to speak here and then talk about this book, and Howard for helped to set up everything. And then thank you for being here for the online presentation too. So this is a book, and sorry, I just have to have a moment to calm myself because I feel very nervous to speak in front of so many people and getting attention. Just let me just sip water here. Now I see everybody's face, so thank you for coming. My longtime friends, and then new friends, and everyone to be here. And my husband Bernd is here, and he was also with me making this book. For all the photographs that I took a picture of, he was with me. And then, first of all, I really appreciate Kaz for giving me opportunity to work on this book. We did a talk, we talked about this book at the San Francisco Zen Center on May 30th. That's when we arrived in United States. And then this is going to be my last presentation this time to talk about this book in United States. And I feel truly honored. And I was really touched by what Enkyo Roshi talked about Kintsugi, because I used to live in New York for 10 years, and then I left New York overwhelmed and then quite shattered. And then like whole circumstances brought me to the Zen practice, and then coming here 14 years later with this book, so which is beyond my imagination. And then, you know, we didn't really talk about what to talk about, but Enkyo Roshi brought the element of Kintsugi, and then I thought, oh my God, isn't it really quite amazing that all the things kind of come together in a beautiful way. So yeah, so this is the book, and it took 2 years for me to photograph this book. There are photographs from Zen gardens that I visited, and mainly focused on Zen gardens in Kyoto, because there are many gardens in Japan, as you know, and there are many Zen gardens, but we wanted to narrow it down, the focus, so that, you know, we can deepen our presentation for this book. So Kaz wrote a text introducing about the overall understanding of Zen gardens, and then 7 qualities is presented in this. And the books that I brought here for you to perhaps, you know, to look at, and then also purchase if you like, is signed by myself and then also by Kaz. And he picked one of the quality signed in this book called it's Daiyo. It is pivotal. So I hope that this will be serving any reader to be a pivotal experience, you know, perhaps to be awakened, or to give some inspiration, or to think about whatever that is. And for me, it was very challenging experience to take photograph of this Zen garden, because Zen garden are quiet. For me, it appeared to be too quiet and too solid in the beginning. And then for me, when I take photograph because I get inspired. and I feel deep connection. And in the beginning, it was challenging because I didn't know how to connect to what I'm looking at. So I had to sit down for a long time. And then the time that I took a photograph for this book, it was during pandemic. So temple's gate were open, but not many people were in the garden visiting. So oftentimes it's just Bernd and myself, or maybe one or two person. Oftentimes they are photographers. And then, so for me, just go there, very quiet, very ideal situation, I would say, to really meet the Zen garden. But I had difficult to connect. And then Bernd will sit there and then look at the garden. And for me, I would like, what should I do? Because I knew that I would have to kind of have some kind of my experience and then present in a photograph at the end of a year or two for this book. But I decided to sit and then put my camera, and as I sit, I waited for a long time, and there was one experience. I actually wrote about the experience in this book. But one day I was sitting at the Kenji temple, and after a long time, I felt that I was not really successful, or I don't know if I should say successful. I felt still hard time connecting to the Zen garden, but as I was ready to go on to next place, it started to talk to me in the way that I was so unexpected. It almost looked like it was dancing in the light, and that really completely changed my connection to the garden. I realized that it wasn't the Zen garden, but it was my mind, which wasn't really open, and to be able to really see what it's about. So from that time on, I started to enjoy going to each Zen gardens. That time we were living in Kyoto, so we were very lucky. We can ride a bicycle to those temples and then visit the same gardens over and over again. And then, yeah, by doing so, it's almost like a sitting zazen, I would say. Going to the same spot many, many times, and then gradually I would notice some difference. But at the end, I realized that it was just a mirror to my mind. So all those qualities that Kaz talks about, I think, those are a quality of our mind, and you see it through the garden. Yeah. And recently, at our hometown in Japan was hit by a massive earthquake on January 1st. And that led us to living in this quite chaotic and disturbing condition. But I feel that, photographing Zen gardens for 2 years prepared me to really meet very disturbing situation in the way that I can quiet my mind and see it. There was one day that I was looking at, those houses, completely shuttered, and then warehouse used to be became a pile of roof tiles, destroyed wooden things, and then that was no longer a house. And I was just looking at it, and I felt very upset. But I just was looking at it for a long time, and then suddenly realized that there was a branch of a plum tree with a flower blooming, and the light shines through it. And I thought, oh my God, there's a life and then there's a beautiful moment in the midst of this chaotic situation. And then I realized that, perhaps, my experience of looking at the Zen garden over and over again trained me to somehow give me a opportunity to not to be all upset about what is going on, but perhaps, if I'm lucky, I will be able to see there's a beauty and there's a light in each moment. So I really appreciate making this book together with Kaz, and then very, very happy to be able to present this. And there's some photograph that was put up here is one, and then there are a few more on the hallway. And then I hope that you can maybe look at it and then be able to experience, perhaps, what I experienced or your own experience looking at those Zen gardens. So thank you so much. Thank you.